Hello, Jack here from the UK, Trained by YouTube channel. And as you can see, it's quite warm. So if it shows in this video that I'm a bit glowy, it's because I'm a bit on the sweaty side. But besides that, there's the reason why there's no train videos as of right now is because there's a couple of issues I want to try and bring up and reach out to the royal household, as in the royal family, and the UK government, mainly about important things that would affect my future, mainly with the TV license stuff and the news that's floating around uh, with the UK government being worried about the backlash on what the BBC want to do, which is put all of television under one roof, no matter if it's streaming and anything that comes under the TV license, if it's being aired live or not. And I would like to point out that their plan is completely pants, putting it in the most polite way possible. And I hope that the royal household, as in the royal family or someone from the royal family, and the UK government see what I have to say on this matter because uh, I myself am neurodivergent, and they literally don't know if I said that correctly. But regardless on that or not, if I said that correctly, this means I have for myself ADHD and autism. My girlfriend also is neurodivergent because she is mainly Down syndrome, but I think she has autism given that she thinks on a similar thought process to me in every single way. But even though that's never been confirmed for here or there at the moment, we both one day realise that when we move out and get our own place of our own because we're in our own supported living, that we realise that if we want to watch TV, we will need a TV license. And as it stands, anything that comes under BBC and is live and on demand will come under that license. Now, here's the BBC's major flaw with putting streaming underneath all that roof and not paying attention to all forms of streaming of their plan, given that they're missing key details if they're even trying to put everything under one roof. And they're basically trying to fill their own pockets. And I don't think this is opinion, I think this is more fact that they're just trying to fill their own pockets rather than taking responsibility for reasons why they might be losing tons of money or reasons why they're not getting the ratings they want for them to be making hundreds and hundreds and billions of pounds a year. So, for one, just so me and my girlfriend have a form of way to stay safe, me myself, I will be doing streaming until things change or get better. And I think my girlfriend will be doing so likewise through my accounts until we live together and she has her own accounts, or unless we share a account and we try and save her money, because as it stands right now, and this is a separate matter, it's more harder for people like me and her to get jobs because we don't want to lose out on having to say goodbye to all our benefits when we could sacrifice one and keep the other as it used to be. Again, this is a separate matter, and I don't really need the attention of the royal household for that one, mainly for this with the BBC. And the way I see it on how all television should work when it comes to broadband versus streaming, given the things that the BBC want to put under their roof, are things like YouTube, which fall into a grey area. And there's a lot of other grey areas they haven't properly thought about, which I have. Now, the way I see it is with TV license, anything that's on a form of broadband, on demand, or live, or under the BBC or ITV name, as far as I'm aware, that this will all come under TV license. Now, the way I see it, if it's live, TV license, if it's on demand, TV license, if it's the BBC, TV license. And I would probably say ITV probably comes under that category as well to some extension, while also going in slightly into the grey area. Again, we get back to that. Now, if you have things like BBC iPlayer and use it, it comes under TV license. And all this is paid for, as in standard, and this is how this should be. So if anything comes under the BBC, so BBC One, BBC Two, BBC Radio, BBC Three, BBC Four, and I think Channel 4, E4, and Channel 5, and any film sort of programs and channels that are partly owned by the BBC or ITV, I believe that these would come under TV license. Now, with the majority of that basically covered, because I don't really know a lot about the TV license side of things, but besides the basic stuff, I think that's a good place to start and end for the moment. And now, with that sort of that this is that category, let's move on to the grey area. The grey area, again, is where it comes into more of you can't get full control. And here's the reason why. Now, even though BBC iPlayer comes under the BBC, therefore it would come on the TV license, apparently, according to some research since 2018 to 2019 to the 2020s, and I don't know if it changed, so I'm saying if for a good point here, but since then, apparently, if you own it and use it, you pay for it. But if you only own it and then think, oh, I don't really want it, and then you forget about it and you still have it, and then you delete it about a week or a month later, you don't have to pay for that because you haven't really opened it up. You haven't really started something, and unless you already have a license, because they ask the question on the app, do you have a TV license? They will ask through that app. And I think because it's in this grey area, and because it also comes under streaming, I believe that should come under a set price as part of the streaming act, unless they make a separate app that isn't BBC branded name wise, just to separate it off. Again, this would probably go for the same rules of the ITVX app, that it probably requires a license to use it, or it might be a little bit more free. I don't know, because that's more focused on television. Okay. And then other forms of this grey area that I want to cover for streaming wise are things like YouTube, which come under content creation. And because I am speaking from my own YouTube channel, and because I own my channel, yes, I don't own YouTube, and YouTube owns their own platform. I own my own section of it to make educational content, mainly for adults, because I have a tendency to swear. And it's just how I am with my ADHD and autism, and this is no excuse. This is more or less how I personally rock and roll. How I let off steam, to put it in a simple term, whenever conversations get heated. And when it comes down to content creation, because it's content creation first and foremost, I would like to think that these people, if they come under the BBC's Act of TV license and all this and whatever else, these people that create content for educational purposes and other means of media, like music, because YouTube is not just television or live events like the BBC, it is also things like music that has never been heard on radio before, like more explicit stuff, like Eminem music. When you buy a CD, it's full on swear in the rap songs that he produces. But when it's played over the radio, it's censored. Certain things like the F word and the S word are censored. That tells me that YouTube is more for a sense of freedom. So I believe this should not come under a TV license segment, and should be its free own content creator sort of streaming thing first and foremost, since that's where it hits. And in a similar way, there's also Twitch, which is content creation first and foremost, and streaming second, even though it does come into the more streaming side of things. And then you got the music rights over on things on Spotify and Deezer, where people stream music. Is where new music can be created and listened to over and over again by billions and thousands of people every day, every night, every hour, every second, and every minute throughout of a course of a day to maybe a few times a week of listening to music. And because it's not owned by the BBC, again, it comes under the Streaming Act and comes under the Content Creation Act. So again, I do believe it does not come under any of this. Now, I also believe in this grey area, any old TV shows that are no longer aired by ITV or BBC and have ended up on other channels, because they're no longer being aired regularly, I don't think they should come under the TV license of that you would have to pay for them. I think they should be more free content under the Freeview and FreeSat Act, that some of the content on Freeview televisions should be free, given that the clues in the name to what it is. And I'm not trying to be sarcastic here, I'm just trying to point it out for the fact that I'm frustrated with hearing people get upset. I'm basically frustrated on their behalf because they're being told, oh, you have to pay more for just this. And I'm just, at this point, up here, like, just above my head, sort of up here with it. And, like, anger-wise, and I am holding back my tongue, and I will say it right now that I am just struggling to hold back my anger thinking about it. But moving swiftly on to the more bigger streaming stuff, out the grey zone and what actually does come under streaming are things like Disney Plus, Hulu, Netflix, and surprisingly, when the BBC decided to think that this was too niche, apparently Crunchyroll was left out of the big streaming stuff, because even though it's not your typical live television, it is live anime television, but through streaming. Again, it's live Japanese stuff, so it will say the audio is in Japanese and that the subtitles will be in English. But once it's been about a week, 2 weeks, and there's been multiple episodes dropped per week, so once it's aired in Japan, we get it in English for the West, as in for the United States of America and the entirety of Europe, to where a lot of animes like One Piece, even though I'm not a fan of that myself, and I like other animes, this sort of thing never got touched. Unlike the stuff with Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, which I think is now joining Disney Plus, apparently, according to when this video goes out and when I put it on YouTube. The long story short of it is that when it comes down to it, all this streaming stuff already has a price on it. That you pay the price they ask for, if it's like the monthly, like the 1 month or the 3 month option being the middle option, or the year option that you like. For example, for the year option, if I were to sign up with Disney Plus for the £59 standard for a total year, and I did that on January 1st, I would not have to pay that price again come the end of the year, by the just before the 31st of December of, let's say, 2027, as it gets into 2028. And I do believe that having a TV license to pay with that, if it comes under the BBC's control here in the UK and other countries like the UK that have the BBC television stations, I do believe that it'd be too much of a price to pay, and then there will be massive backlash. Long story short, especially if the UK government and the royal household of the royal family end up seeing this video, or someone working for them see this video, and they go over everything I've just said and they double fact check it. And if it does get to them and they do find a way to get in touch with me through social media, if they have social media, then I would like to ask at the end of this video being now, again, as of when this gets aired up onto YouTube, at this point in my video that I'm making as of right now, I would like to ask, at the least with the UK government, to not listen to the BBC on their crap about putting everything under one roof, because they haven't done their research. And on several points I am right, and this is coming from a person with ADHD and autism, a neurodivergent person. And I'm hoping that someone in the government turns down the BBC and tells them that they're just going to keep things as they are and not give in to the BBC's greed, because that's all it is, and that's all it is. And it's not just my opinion, it's probably the whole country's opinion of the BBC as of right now. So I'm going to be signing off because I got other jobs to be doing while I'm still in my supported living, and I don't know when my next educational train video will be, but I plan to do one before December. So either September, October, or November, that I'll have a video out to do with trains and educational stuff to do with railways. So I guess this is a see you later. Bye.